Hello, and welcome to the Book of Flinn. I'm your Captain Vinzer Flinn, and this week Reigna and I will be continuing our Clone Wars and Buffy journey, the combination binge watch you never knew you needed. Today we're watching Season 1 Clone Wars Episodes 5 and 6, Rookies and Downfall of a Droid, and Season 1 of Buffy, Episode 5, Never Kill a Boy on the First Date. Let's go. Alright, this is what I think is a very important episode in Clone Wars history. For reasons which I can't really go into yet.
Rookies is the name of the episode. It's episode 5. Be careful what you wish for is my tagline for this. And the best confidence builder is experience is the quote at the beginning of the episode.
I think the first one is a reference to being careful what you wish for. That's how we got the prequels. And the sequels.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong about that. The best confidence builder is experience is going on my board at work.
That's a nice way of saying nothing teaches you like fucking up.
Pretty much.
If you can learn from it. That's the trick.
That's the thing, right? So essentially it opens with letting us know that clones are actually going into the field before they're even finished their training. So they're not just green, they're green. And you're at the Rishi station there's a tracking station on the outer rim. So I'm starting to learn these things. They don't usually say it until halfway through the episode, and then I go back up and write them in. So this is where we open up. So I thought that the radio was cool. That was just a little side thing for that scene, but I could have done with actual eyes in the face that was there instead of just these like white thing. Yeah, it was a little creepy.
One of the things the newscaster mentioned was I was throwing out a song or something to the I think the Mud Jumpers on Mimban, and that is the same planet that Solo was on, where they were all in the mud where he met Chewbacca. That was the same planet.
Oh, okay.
Mimban's got a rep for being muddy, I guess.
Yeah. So it's the usual slow night shenanigans. So I have assigned Hogwarts houses to each of the rookies.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we've got Heavy on the scope. What do you think he is?
Heavy. Oh, okay. He's a go-getter. He's ready to rough and tumble. Maybe Gryffindor.
Okay. So Echo, excited about reading the logs.
Oh, he's Ravenclaw for sure.
And keeps citing all of the regulations and the standard operating procedures. I was like, nerd in the background. Who else do we have in there? I have them as we get to them, like as they're focused. Fives.
Hufflepuff.
I didn't agree with you on that one.
No,
I had him as Slytherin.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure about the Slytherin one. I didn't really think any of them was Slytherin.
I gave Hufflepuff to the one who we'll get to later.
I know who you mean. I wrote his name down too.
Yeah, I have it here somewhere. So the sergeant catches them goofing off, and they're trying to prep for an inspection, and the inspection is going to be handled by Commander Cody and Captain Rex. Did I get that right?
You did.
Sweet, I got that one from memory. At the fleet, there's no sleep for Gloomy. He's looking real tired, needs a nap, because they're chasing Gargle Breath, and he might be resting his voice.
I really like the No Sleep for Gloomy. That sounds like a band name from the 90s or something.
For Gloomy. So at the Rishi outpost, there's a meteor shower, and they come these weird droids. I've never seen these droids before.
Right, our first look at the sort of stealth commando droids.
I wasn't ready for their voice register. I wasn't ready for it to be that low. And I definitely wasn't ready for the fact that they can change their voice.
Yeah.
I was not ready for that.
I think they were sort of goofy the way they went about it, because they got to have a bit of a goofy factor. But, the other droids never disguised themselves as other troopers or anything.
No, they weren't smart enough to do that. I called them the Stein droids because they reminded me of Ben Stein.
What, really right-wing Republican?
No, as in like the way he's speaking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dry,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, with the Bueller. Apparently, Lady V, we find out she's on Camino. She's their inside person.
How do you stealth around on Camino? I mean, I know she's, like a dark Jedi and whatnot, but Camino's like, it's the water world, and it's just like the clone city there, right? So what's she doing, hiding in the cafeteria or something? Like,
Well,
I don't know.
she looks like a reptile. I thought she'd just be in the water.
She's just slithering around in the air ducts, hoping no one sees her, stealing sandwiches from the cafeteria.
Well, I mean, she is Lady Voldemort, so the four clones escaped, and so now they're just the Hogwarts clones. They took out the Sarge, so now it's just the Hogwarts clones. That was more of a note to myself. Okay, never mind. So their plan is predictable. They're going to attack the Camino factory, like the planet, to get rid of the factory itself. And it's like, can you stop going after the clones? Like, I get it, it's their base, but still, can you stop just going after innocent people?
There's a lot of clone death in this show already.
Yep. Yeah, the Stein droids voice changing was really weird, but I really liked that they still kept the Roger Roger, so it
Yeah.
doesn't change. Like they can't mimic the actual inflection or anything. They still have their certain program. Oh, Cut Up. That's it. Cut Up is Hufflepuff.
Cut Up, yeah, I wasn't sure. I didn't really get very good read on Cut Up, so I couldn't really guess as accurately. Yeah, Cut Up's not with us for long.
No. No.
It's eaten by a giant eel. As that can happen in space.
Because they're on a planet made of sponge, I guess.
I don't know. I was saying this the other day. How every now and then Star Wars throws this, like, they remind us there's gigantic creatures like living in space, sometimes in a vacuum, like eldritch horrors from beyond kind of stuff.
So watching Cody and Rex meet with the inspection team was like watching Cody and Rex meet with William Shatner does clone. It was the expressions that this droid was trying to give. I was expecting him to start doing
He's like doing
backflips.
fucking Vogue.
Rex he hears Roger Roger and then just shoots him in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, like, what a gamble. But yeah, he was right. Cody's like, what the fuck, man?
Those droids are wild, but they still don't seem super smart. Like there's still some flaws in their programming, but they're definitely improvement.
Still programmed by the same bitter person that brought you normal battle droids.
Except they were like, you have to do a better job this time because the last batch were crap. And he's like, okay, I'll put in some of the programming you guys asked for. That person's actually undercover from the Republic, and he's there specifically to dumb down the droids. That's my new headcanon. That's why those droids are so stupid.
Did you catch what Rex called the clones' helmets when he told them to take them off? I thought this was funny.
No.
He said, take off your sunbonnets.
No, I missed that completely. Sunbonnets.
I didn't catch it the first time. I didn't catch it last time either, but yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah. On the fleet, we have Gloomy One, which is when Gloomwalker and Obi-Wan are together. They're squabbling like an old married couple.
As they do.
Like, do they just add them in there to make sure that they have enough screen time? I just don't understand these little bitty scenes where they're like, we need to talk about your method for how we're going to do this. And it's like, is that necessary? I guess it's just to remind us of the fact that they're still looking for them, checking in
Be
with
like,
them.
quit calling me every 10 minutes, Obi-Wan. Jeez. They did an interesting quick parallel of Rex and Cody and Anakin and Obi-Wan where they said, oh, Rex doesn't listen just like you don't. And they made a joke about how Cody's probably enjoying like reading the rule books or something like that. So there's a parallel between who's sort of paired off with who.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rex has the power of positive thinking.
He sure does.
He's like, so we're just going to go do this and then we're going to do that. And he's like, and this is just going to work out. We have 4 newbies here on their first day.
And he's like, yep.
Rex pretending he's a helmeted droid. That head switch was smart and it was hilarious. Meanwhile, they're all standing on the other side going, this is never going to work.
Yeah.
This felt like a D&D thing. This felt like we were
Yes,
rolling for a D&D entrance.
absolutely. Yeah, Rex took a big gamble, but he rolled a 20.
Yeah, it just whips up the head. Oh, it whips up the head and then well, I think he got a 20 because he had a cool one-liner and then shot the person in the face. So this is
You're right.
you killed this person. How would you like to do it?
Absolutely a 20. Yeah.
Roger, Roger.
Reg's a badass in this one.
Yeah. Actually worked. Operation Hogwarts is a go.
What'd you think about how Rex de-shinied Five's armor with the handprint? Like that's how you end up with symbols your whole life is some random thing like that happens to you. I like that.
Yeah, I don't. Is it because, like, I just don't understand the significance of the handprint? Was it
I'm
just.
not. There probably is the significance of the hand thing. I'm gonna have to look that up, but I think it was just like a battle a mark to show you've been in battle kind of thing. It was just what was there, get something on the armor kind of thing. That's how I took it anyway.
Nice. They're having a Lord of the Rings style competition with the head count. There was one of them who's just like, that one was mine. There's like, no, 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 that one was mine. Like they were fighting over who got the droids, who took
Oh
out
yeah.
each of the droids. The fleet, the Republic fleet is like, oh, we haven't heard from these guys who haven't checked in 2 hours. They'd let us know if they're fine. Meanwhile, Gargle, he's like, we haven't. Everything looks okay. Send down reinforcements anyways. Like it pays to be paranoid in this case.
Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not all after you.
Yeah, exactly. And then I went, oh, those droids. Never mind, we're good. I thought it was going to be
That was
more
the
of the stealth
reinforcements?
droids. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for the matchsticks, boys.
So we have a last stand scenario set up here. I thought it was interesting that the clones look at Camino as like home and they had almost a personal investment in protecting it. I thought that was weird. I never really felt like the clones, like again, I'm tainted by those Republic Commando books, but yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's like, that's home. We have to defend it.
Well, I guess that's probably the first memories that they have because I'm assuming they're trained and stuff on Camino as well. So that would be like the only home that they know. So that makes sense. Yeah. Because I know that they come out grown up, but they still have like probably at least what 13 weeks of basic training. I think that's I don't remember
I
how
don't know.
long.
They are trained there though, for sure. And yeah,
Yeah.
and usually they have like a pod brothers, like they'll have a core group of, four or whatever that they're especially close with. So then whatever happens to them in training, like if like obviously a guy with five or 4 5s in his thing, there's a lot of fives and sebs for 7. But well, I think the guy from the Republic Commando game, his name was Scorched, and he was an explosive expert, and I think he blew his eyebrows or something off. So it's basically how you fuck up is how you're going to get your nickname or something like that.
So they're going to blow up the outpost and take out all of it so that the Empire doesn't have it and so that they can get rid of the all clear signal. So then the Republic fleet will actually pop right in, which I thought was radical, but it worked.
Yeah, kill the signal so they know something's wrong. It's like tripping the switch.
Yeah, so they're going to use liquid Tabana for the big
Which
boom.
that's the same stuff that Cloud City, they mine it out of the clouds and it's like fuel and shit like that.
Yeah, because they use it to heat the base in the winter. So he walks right in. He pretends to be a Stein droid with his helmet on. It's like reverse. It's like Uno reverse in like if you're playing that card right now. So it's and then he just like whips out. It's like say hello to my little friend. Like he just whips out this giant thing and just starts taking everybody out. It's awesome.
Heavy.
Yep, Heavy's Gryffindor for sure. I had Heavy as Slytherin because he's more of like the one that, does the digs and all that sort of stuff. And he has like all the motivation and he has all of it, but he has none of that self-preservation.
Right.
So I was like, no, I need to switch them.
Yeah, Gryffindor's got that more of a reckless touch. A Slytherin would be much more cagey for sure.
Well, that's what I get from 5 is stand back observing things, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, like he just kind of
I'd
is
go
like,
along with that.
let's make it. Just it did seem to make the most sense from like a not openly bully point of view that you usually get from the baseline of what Slytherin's about. It's more of the calculated, I'm going to hang back, I'm going to see what's going on, I'm going to see how this will work best to my or our advantage kind of thing.
Echo's still definitely Ravenclaw.
Echo is 100%. Like, he was way too happy about those logs. Way too happy. And Cut Up, I guess, just didn't get sorted yet. But if he did, it would have been probably Hufflepuff. We only got like 10 seconds, but it didn't seem great. Because he's like, what are we gonna do now?
We barely knew you, Cut Up.
What are we gonna do now?
Now he's space eel shit.
Insert one of Raptor's poop noises here. So the detonator isn't working. So Heavy, unfortunately, decides to sacrifice himself as a brave Gryffindor would to blow up the outpost and cut out the all clear signal.
I like how the droids went, do we take prisoners? And Heavy just said, I don't. Like, he didn't even hesitate. He just did the job.
Yep. Signal drops. And then Rishi Gargle must be thinking that his droids blew up the base. Fleet appears. Gargle poops.
Yeah, Grievous running away again.
Yeah. I noticed that this is the first time that I've actually heard the 501st.
Yes, this is sort of the beginning of something very, very big. The 501st extends well into the classic era of Darth Vader. So yeah, this is a really cool moment with Fives and Echo there.
Yeah. But I just thought that was pretty cool that it was mentioned in here because I come into this knowing that the 501st, that term, is something that is, so it's cool to actually see it linked in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked this episode. They gave them badges of honor. They got the house cup, all that good stuff. They did a good job.
Yeah, I really like the clone centric ones, and when you get to learn all the different names and what they're like and stuff. And I can, without spoiling anything, I can promise you haven't seen the last of Fives and Echo.
The less of gloomy I see, the better. At some point.
Oh, well, bad news. We're going into the next episode, which is Gloomwalker Heavy.
Oh, yeah. Trust in your friends, and they'll have reason to trust in you, is the quote on here. So the outer rim seems to be falling, even though they just won the outpost.
Yep.
So I was like, wait, didn't they just win this? And they're like, nope, outer rim is falling. And you're like, oh, okay, cool.
That was a good Admiral Yularen. That was spot on. They mentioned, I don't know if you caught at the start of this, a place called Bothawi, the name of it. And that is...
No, because I would have made fun of that.
Bothawi is the homeworld of the Bothans. They're like a small, they kind of look like bipedal dog people. She's snickering. She's trying not to laugh. But they've been a Star Wars race since the old days. In Jedi, Mon Mothma says many Bothans died to bring us these plans because Bothans have a spy network, which of course later one of our friends made a fucking D&D character called Manny Bothans and chaos ensued. Anyway, Bothawi.
Bothawi. That's why I was snickering the entire time, because I just kept replaying that in my head.
Turns out it's actually a really dull place.
Well, no, you just said there are dogs there. It's obviously the best place ever.
Yeah, they can be real jerks, though. Well, one anyway.
Puppies.
True story. Back in the old days of Star Wars Galaxies, when you couldn't speak all the languages right away, you had to get someone teach you. A little Bothan guy, and they're quite small, dog face, comes up to me and he's like, tell this guy I hate him. And all the other guys seeing his gobbledygook. And I'm like, I'm seeing what he's actually saying. I'm like, oh, he wants to be your friend. He's like, no, don't tell him that. Tell him he sucks. Like, he says he's sorry. No, lost in translation.
Cats. It's like dogs with cat brains. Tell him he's a jerk. Gloomy wants to stay and fight, even though everybody's like, we should really regroup and we should really plan and just go from there. And he's like, nah, I got it. Hold my
How about
beer.
another really risky plan that I know I can do, but you will probably all get killed?
Just like go do solo missions. My goodness, stop
Honestly.
taking half of the clones down with you. My lord. Ahsoka and Kenobi are telling General Stubborn to regroup or else they'll lose everything. And he's like, nah, that's fine. This ought to be good. So I have a new theory. Because we just
Do
switched
tell.
to the general at General Gargle. I think that he participated in a wake and bake prior to come walking into the scene. He walks in, wrapped in a blanket, coughing his head off. Tell me he didn't just hotbox one of those Android closets where they're stored.
I'm not gonna lie. The moment he stepped onto the screen, I thought the exact same thing. I'm like, he definitely came out of the comms room smoking a boogler or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, all they needed. I wish the CGI artist had put like a cloud of smoke or something because we would have gotten it.
If you're listening to this and you can make that happen, Christmas time is coming soon. Because it was perfect. So now Grievous is a stoner. And it makes everything make a little bit more sense.
Headcanon.
I'm gonna roll with this, that he is just high the entire time. I think it's gonna make this watch through.
Yeah, I'm all aboard for this. This is great. Grievous is just completely fucked the whole time.
Which just makes me want to rewatch that episode where Yoda keeps trolling him the entire time.
Just confusing him. In a round room where the corner is, Grievous.
Well, that's how I'm sure Yoda got his speech, as they used to probably do that back in the day, and then just one day
I am so sure that he suffered a head injury somewhere in the Old Republic.
yeah, I cannot wait until Grogu starts speaking so he
Yeah.
can rename himself to something other than Grogu, and he can speak, and he'll be like a super eloquent speaker. It's going to be really funny because it's going to be probably one of those growth spurts where they just suddenly have the ability to speak.
When Grogu speaks, it's going to be jarring. Everyone's going to hate it. Unless it's something really cute where he says his dad's name or something like that.
Oh, my heart.
That'll kill everybody. But yeah, but if he just starts mouthing off like little Groot or something, everyone will hate it.
The High General has a really good idea to go through the asteroid field because he's like, we're going to sneak right in on top of those guys and the asteroids are going to be all behind us and nobody's going to be able to follow us.
And they're doing this with big capital ships. And then this is how this is his trap. He's like, oh yeah, I expected him to do this really stupid thing. I don't know. This whole trap was weak.
Yeah, because it's too much based on people doing exactly what you would think that they're going to do at any given moment. And Fleet dispatches the Gold Squad. None of them are gold ships.
Yeah, what a jip.
Right? The Gargle fleet is in position, and then this episode specifically had a lot of weird James Bond style music. I didn't really understand.
I have a note about the music too. What did I put here? Oh, there's it's a fight scene and it sounds like the fucking Matrix, like when they're going.
I have Matrix written right underneath James Bond.
Yeah, the hallway scene. Yeah, the music was weird in this.
Yeah, it was like James Bond meets Matrix because it had like a cyberpunky vibe,
Yeah,
but
it's
it was definitely
techno-y.
like dun 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 dun
Yeah.
dun, diddly-dee, but it was weird.
Yeah, it totally was. I've totally noticed the music too. That's hilarious.
So, surprise, Rex and the fighters are all hiding on the asteroids because, honestly, that part, if he had known, could have been 100% sure that General Wake and Bake was going to stroll in exactly the way he did, because they could have been just on the wrong side, the wrong asteroids.
I know there's so much about this plan that I hate. And the funny thing is, if the sensors, like once Rex and his guys started shooting from the asteroid, why didn't they just be like, the capital ship be like, rear batteries, destroy that asteroid, and they would have killed them all instantly or scattered them. Like,
yeah, well, they were guaranteeing, they're playing on the fact that the Harry and Marv droids are idiots.
It doesn't feel like they got much respect for Grievous either. They're like, they think he's pretty, like, he's falling for this stupid shit. So I don't know.
Yeah. So Gloomy gets all cocky and he's like, "Psh, I knew this was gonna work. And I'm just like, please stop talking. Please shut up. I can't handle you. Harry is left in charge because Marv, we remember, is killed. And General Wake and Bake is off to hotbox in the ship because he's like, I can't deal with this right now. So he just gets up and leaves.
Yeah, he jumps back in his classic car and fucks off again. That ship served him very well twice now.
Right? So Gloomwalker's ship is damaged and Rex saves him and he's in the hospital. But where's R2?
I don't know, but you better get out there and find that fucking droid.
Kenobi's all like, just a droid. Like,
I know, right? He was so callous.
yeah, he's like, it's just a droid, whatever. And they're like, but he wasn't wiped. And he's like, what?
Now he cares.
But why would they, like, seeing R3 struggle through this entire the rest of this episode? Why are they so particular about wiping droids when it's obvious they need that much experience in order to properly back up a pilot? Like, it seems like a weird, oh, we have to wipe them. Oh, but they have to know everything that they have to do in there. So you're gonna factory reset that? Do you know if I factory resetted my phone every single day and reinstalled the apps and did everything, I'd never get anything done. If that's what's backing me up is something that I just wiped 5 minutes ago, I'm gonna end up in the sun. So I don't like Gloomy's take on the fact that R3, I don't know, it's their first day. Like, give them a minute to figure out what they're doing. However, I mean, dude's got a point. Like, shouldn't that droid go through practice first?
Poor old Goldie. I think he made a few honest mistakes to start with, and then Anakin got so pissy about it that he just kept fucking up on purpose just to fuck with him. I'm convinced of that.
I don't know if it's that level of malevolence yet. Maybe after he's had a few.
You don't think a droid can be petty? Wait till you meet Chopper.
I've met R2.
Oh man, no, Chopper's like R2 drunk.
That's amazing. More powerful and faster, but R2's like, hold my beer, because he's like, he chinks off, he clips off his like little bolt. I guess it's like a repressor bolt or a
restraining bolt, right?
Restraining bolt, yeah. And he tries to go away, but that, like, you see that later in the episode. Sorry, I skipped. But I just have R2 hold my beer. But the music comes back when they're going to check on to see if R2 was picked up by the Trandoshan ship. The music returns.
Yeah.
I thought they were outside a club. Because the Trandoshan window comes across and it's just that face in the wall. I'm like, are they about to walk into like some underground club right now? I'm getting very strong 90s vibes from this.
A roving Trando techno rave.
I'd buy it. I'd go to that. Also, Pookums? Pookums?
Pookums, yeah. That's not condescending at all, Anakin, thanks.
And also, that's just gross. Like, she's 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't use pet names for children. Like that.
The Trando character in this was voiced by Ron Perlman, by the way. I thought it was familiar, so I double checked on that.
Oh,
sure enough.
That's cool.
I thought it was Mark Hamill because he just had a similar quality to it, but apparently it was Ron Perlman.
So R3 goes to turn on the lights so that they can kind of look around, and he goes to turn on something. I don't remember what it was. Going to see if R2 was on board or something.
Right. Yeah, they're searching for R2.
But he turns on all of the lights and all of the assassin droids. I don't think R3 would have done that on purpose because Ahsoka was there. I would totally say, yep, totally woke him up if it was just Gloomy there.
Might have been a kill all humans kind of situation. Like, wow, you were nice to me, but sorry, you're a flesh bag. You got to go to.
R3
R3's like, I'm taking my shot.
And Ahsoka slice and dices. She holds her own against these assassin droids.
These are IG-86 droids, apparently. IG-88 is the classic bounty hunter, and IG-11 was the heroic Taika version from Mandalorian.
Right, okay.
86s.
So Trandoshan's like, told you I ain't got nothing down here, and sends them on their way. And then he immediately sends a message to General Wake and Bake, set up a meeting to obtain the droid.
I was surprised R2 was actually, that they caught him. Or I'm surprised they didn't, R2 wasn't already loose on the ship causing chaos by the time Anakin first showed up. But it was surprising that R2 finally got caught.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, we see him with a lot more experience in episode 4, 5, and 6. So I guess this is where he's really learning those things. He's like,
This is
well,
true.
now, because, by the time he gets to the Death Star or whatever, he's chaos ensues, all of the things.
R2 always seems like he's 10 steps ahead. So it's weird to see him get caught.
Early days. Although he's probably he hasn't been wiped since Anakin was.
Yeah, it's been well over 10 years.
Yeah.
And we don't know how old R2 was at the episode 1. I think it's probably in canon, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. Yeah, R2 he's no spring chicken. He's got some miles on him.
Yeah, R2's giving me like 30-year-old vibes here. Like he's smart and crafty enough to get out, but he doesn't quite know what he's doing yet. Or maybe like late 20s. He's probably as old as Anakin is, to be honest.
He's at that stage where you're still going to bars and partying all the time, but you're smart enough not to get caught up in the fights.
23, got it.
Oh God, that wasn't my 23. But anyway, moving on.
So R3 is going with Gloomwalker, and there's a cool clamping sequence with more music. I don't understand the music. It has no place in this world.
And keeping with my theory that Goldie is intentionally screwing things up, I'm convinced he just flat out tried to kill Anakin by detaching the hyperspace ring. He's like, You want that? Fuck you. Good luck.
Yep, I'd believe that now because because I think it was like when he called him Stubby and gave him that nickname, and then he got really sad, and then after that he's just like, well,
Anakin was abusive from the start.
Yeah, I've got thrusters. Bye.
I can send out a distress call. Can you, meatbag? See ya.
Send out a distress call when there's no noise transfer in space. Have fun screaming into the void. I might be relating a little too much with R3 right now.
So your favorite ship shows up.
My favorite ship?
The Twilight, the hairdryer. But I only bring it up because it actually kind of got an almost partway cool Star Wars-y ship escape at the end there.
No.
No love for the Twilight.
No, that was like a pack of gum. It's not. I'm sorry. Bye. Just turn it on the high setting. Blow it up back. R2 is on his own Matrix adventure because the music kicks over, and I think it's maybe trying to make R2 seem cool. Like, I feel like that's the point of this, is that R2, this is where he's like, dun, 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 dun,
well,
and he's just
R2
secret.
was always cool, so jot that down.
He sidles over, knocks off his inhibitor, makes a run for it, pursued by assassin droids, trick into airlocking them. Like, this guy. They just needed to really show off. And when the Trandoshan's like, what were you doing? R2 actually made it, It's so good.
Fuck you want?
Gloomwalker is just being a tool to R3. He's like barking orders and stuff. If you're so smart, Gloomy, do it yourself. I'm sure there's a button for that in front of you. You're just being too lazy because he could probably do it faster. And you know it. So shut up and respect.
Stupid Anakin. I hope something terrible happens to him.
Yeah. His arm cut off or something. Oh, wait.
My final note in this episode is that Grievous racks up another a head punch on a droid. He popped another one.
Yeah, General sees the beacon too, and apparently it's a trap, and Bloomy's trying to leave, and R3 drops the hyperdrive. Oops, my bad. and General fire everything. So Gloomy is still having a temper tantrum because he can't find R2. And he's like, I know he's out there somewhere. He was blown up in your ship when you were getting overly cocky. Let this be a lesson. If a child breaks a toy, it doesn't mean it gets the toy back.
Yeah, R2 didn't. He's not lost. He left. He's like, fuck this.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna go see what intel I can get. Since you guys can't do this right, I'll be right back.
He's on a vacation world serving drinks.
But I don't understand. I guess my takeaway with this was I didn't think that they wouldn't have rescued R2 this episode. That kind of surprised me because usually things are kind of queued up. But this is also like we're in the half of a two-parter.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. And
you get to that point in the episode where you're like, wait a minute, we can't finish this in time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of getting to the end of there and I was like, wait, no, buddy. And I still don't understand why they need to wipe droids if they need to have a certain level of training and know-how.
I think Kenobi's issue was that R2, more than his mechanic and piloting stuff, had a bunch of strategic shit. Maybe the other R2s wouldn't, but I guess the idea is basically that if you don't wipe your droid after a long time, they start to develop difficult personality traits, you know? So, like...
No, R2 seems to get pretty easy to get along with.
Yeah, I agree, especially with an abusive partner like C-3PO.
Oh, absolutely. If he can put up with C-3PO, he can put up with... Well, Gloomy. He can put up with anyone.
They must have to wipe C-3PO every couple of years because then he just keeps getting them abusive longer. He's starting to hit R2 again. Wipe the guy.
Well, they wiped him, right before episode 4?
Yeah. And then they kind of did in the sequels. I don't know how much that really took, though. So would it be fair to say you like the clone episode more than Eric and Anakin running around?
Yeah. Yep. I just looked to see if I accidentally used a nickname for General Grievous, and nope, I did not. I wrote that one down for later. I'm saving that one for a good time.
All right. Buffy, Season 1, Episode 5. Never kill a boy on the first date.
Yeah, I try as a rule.
Thank you for not doing that on our first date.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I mean, there was an ambulance and everything.
The synopsis for this one read, while awaiting the arrival of the vampire warrior, the Anointed One, pretentious, Buffy's big date at the Bronze ends with an assault on the funeral home. And I was like, once again, Ed Gamble... Well, fuck me, strap in, mate. This sounds fantastic.
Yep.
We start right off the bat, cemetery, where she stakes a vampire right away. And I love the fighting in this. There's like a really good flying roundhouse in there at one point.
The stunts really start to pick up in this one. And it's the same stunt coordinator and the same stunt double right up until season 6, I think.
Wow.
So
cool.
yeah, so you're gonna really be. I really like the fighting in this scene, and it's just really good indication of where it's gonna go from there.
My '90s mall ninja was like, yeah.
I also hope you understand now where I start to get my love for puns, because her opening line where she stakes the vampires, "I'm Buffy in your history." And then she stakes them.
And Giles immediately popped out from behind a sarcophagus and critiqued the whole thing. Yeah, he's like, hey, all he did had to stand up with a number, and I'm going to give it a 5.
The vampire even groaned at how bad the joke was, right as they were staked.
I like this critique. It's about them not getting too fancy. Just plunge and move on. Plunge and move on. I'm like, what are we talking about here, Giles?
Talking to a 16-year-old girl at night in a cemetery about plunge and move on. Yeah, that shouldn't raise
try explaining that when the cop walks around the corner. Plunge and move on. Excuse me? And be like, we were just doing drugs. Anyway, they find a big golden ring. Looks like a fucking 90s class ring on this guy, and they take it to research it. We haven't watched I haven't watched a Buffy episode in a while, so I kind of forgot about the vampire cathedral that's hiding under the city and this whole lair thing they got going down.
Yeah, it's a church because the master was trying to open the Hellmouth in the
Yes.
1930s. And there was an earthquake, and the entire church got buried, and they literally just built on top of it.
As one does.
So lots of candles in a room full of flammable people.
Honest to God, I looked at all the candles and I'm like, is like, what year is it? The 90s? Is somebody raiding a Wicker Emporium? Like, where are they getting all these? Someone's sticking up a truck.
The outfit that the master gives me Matrix vibes.
You think they tried to convince him to run an extension cord down there, but he's like, no, the candlelight is so much softer and nice.
They brought down a lamp, and he was just like, he thought it was the sun, and he almost burst into flames.
Get that out of here. So he's reading out of what I'm now calling the Big Book of Vampires to an audience, which seems like we have to listen to this or he'll fucking kill us, so don't say anything.
Yeah, it's a book of prophecies regarding the master. It's not the last time we'll actually see one of these. For some reason, this guy had a lot of books written about prophecies in his life, so I don't know. It's weird.
I have a note in here somewhere about prophecies. I'm like, who keeps writing all these prophecies? Like I had a feeling we were going to be dealing with a lot of prophecies.
Yeah.
You're shaking your head with your eyes open right now.
It's just,
So,
it's a lot, yeah.
So back in the library, they're doing research, and Buffy out-researches Giles.
Right? He's like, oh, no, I don't know. She's like, no, here it is. This is the thing. Here's the exact thing. Ta-da!
So a student comes in. This goes back to me wondering if anybody ever came into the library. A student comes in and Giles is like, the fuck you want? And he's like, a book? I'm like, oh, right. And then Buffy makes a point of saying, it's a library for students. Giles got territorial.
So this is Owen. We will hear this name a lot. I actually did a count for how many times his name was said in this episode because even I noticed it was excessive.
Oh, so you have an actual number?
I do.
Oh, tell us at the end.
Yep.
I'll try to guess by the end.
Yeah.
It's a lot, though. I can tell. The names seem to be spoke a lot.
Yep.
Anyway, I've got him in my notes as OMG Owen because every time he shows up, Buffy's like, OMG, there he is.
Right?
I have a note here. I wrote it down before the end, just in case I was right. I said, we meet Owen. He's definitely getting killed. Anyway, they figure out this vampire sect, the Order of Aurelius, and but Buffy don't want to hear anything to do with the job. She's just like, I like this boy.
Right? Like, where did this boy come from? What? But what I don't understand is they're like hiding the books that they're looking at. But what are the shelves filled with? Why did they go back there to do research?
It's where the Playboys are hidden.
No. That's in Giles's office next to the Watcher's diaries. I do enjoy the subtlety that is physical comedy. It is really well done in this episode in a few different instances. Like our next scene in the cafeteria.
Cafeteria. I gotta admit, Xander made me laugh more than a few times in this episode. First one was, how did the slaying going? Oh, how did the laying going? And he did a real Jim Carrey face into it. It made me laugh.
It was definitely, yes, gross 16-year-old boy sex joke, but he's just going with the next thing that rhymes, the next closest thing. And he's like, no, I don't mean that either. Because he's obviously not thinking about the words he's using as he's saying it. He's just doing that quick rhyme.
I described the next part in the cafeteria as basically a WWE match where Buffy sees Owen, she moves in, but Cordelia out of nowhere with a steel chair blocks her off.
Yeah. And the hips wider than I thought was, some people are like, oh, well, that could be construed as like fat shaming and stuff. And I'm like, no, she literally used her hip to check her out of the way. So therefore she she didn't realize her hips were boof. She was making like oh, geez, whoops. I must have, accidentally bumped into her. But
I am looking forward to all the things in the 90s that are not going to age at all. That's fun when I go back and watch stuff. I'm just like, woo, you're not getting away with that now.
Yeah, there's definitely some rough periods. This show very much shows its age at certain instances.
Well, Xander's a walking date rape case waiting to happen.
I have notes on that in a little bit. We'll get there. You probably know where I'm going with that already.
No, dear.
Yeah.
Anyway, Owen and Buffy are going to meet at the Bronze. Um, Back at the library. Yeah, this mission is conflicting with what Buffy wants to do. So this is a real point of contention in this show, is the double life, trying to be a Slayer and just trying to fucking do your own thing.
I actually wrote Giles's response. I wrote down the whole quote to Giles's response. Yeah. All right, I'll just jump back in my time machine, go back to the 12th century, and ask the vampires to postpone their ancient prophecy for a few days while you take in dinner and a show.
Buffy's like, I'm just trying to get my swerve on. Come on.
Tony Head's just so good at delivering those lines so dryly.
Oh yeah, it's a delight.
Yeah.
He's another one of those guys I could just read the phone book, which I think I've already said. There was a line as they're staked out. Something about slaying is 90% waiting, and I was like, that's same with bounty hunting, just sitting around waiting. That it's 10 seconds of pure chaos.
One thing that bugs me is like 5 shall die, and from their ashes the anointed shall rise. Wow, I can't believe I actually remembered that. I did not write that down. But Giles, you forgot the first part. 5 shall die. Like,
yeah, sort of glossed over that part.
Yeah, he's like, oh, well, they should already be dead. And I'm like, no. It's saying that on this night is when they die. So why
should we try to stop that? No, it's written here. They're fucked.
Yeah, why are you in a graveyard? They're already dead in there.
Well, yeah, there's no bad guys in the cemetery, so Buffy pieces out and goes to her date. The weirdo on the bus, this kid is like, hi, how you doing, kind of thing, and he's like, the night will come soon, you know. He's like, oh, scary, creepy, prophetic guy.
The most obvious voiceover. They definitely got this guy into a studio afterwards to redo his lines, because there's no way he actually sounded like that in the bus. It looks like, it kind of makes me wonder if that guy auditioned for Jane in Firefly, because he seems like the type, and it's within the couple of years where he would have started putting together Firefly.
This fucking nut on the bus is based on my experience on the Greyhound. Pretty accurate.
We all know this bus guy.
Yeah, there's a version of him everywhere.
Yeah, we all know this bus guy.
The next day at school, the duel of the timepieces. This is where Xander made me laugh, is when they were exchanging a watch, and we look at his Tweety watch, and that's the obvious laugh. But as Buffy's talking to OMG Owen, they keep cutting to Xander, and he keeps making these subtle but disgusted faces, and it was really funny for me.
This scene made me believe that this Owen guy definitely existed somewhere in Joss's high school history. Like this, I feel like he's pulling out a specific memory from his high school years where he got owned by this cool suave guy who had a pocket watch. And meanwhile, he's the one with the Tweety bird, because Xander is the Joss insert.
Yeah, it was probably someone that asked the girl he liked to prom or something. And oh, he has a pocket watch.
The girl he asked to prom. And there's just so much focus on Xander's point of view in this episode. For it not being a Xander-centric episode, it is oddly centered on Xander's point of view, because he's in the background,
suffering off to the side.
Yeah, and it makes me uncomfortable.
A lot of teen angst.
Yeah, and also Xander is a huge perv. He's in the room.
Well, we knew that.
This is like another level. This is actually a point where a lot of people get the basis for their hatred of Xander, is that he's in the room and he's rearranging the light. He's rearranging the little tiny mirror on the nightstand so that he can watch Buffy undress when she's asked him to turn his back.
Yeah, he's a horn dog.
It's disgusting.
Why is he even in there?
Like, yeah, kick him out of the room. Like, you don't have a 16-year-old boy in your room and then get dressed behind. Like, you just kick him out, because boundaries, they have none.
I have a side note here about the master reading his prophecy in the cathedral, and the quote is, "I'm gonna rule the world, you know." They're like, "Sure, Grandpa."
Here you go, take your blood meds.
So did you go through as much stress picking your dress for our date as Buffy's going through for Owen?
I'm pretty sure there was a slew of dresses, and I sent them to both Artemis and Merida, going, which one do I wear? Which one do I wear? And they both helped me settle on the blue one. So,
The co-conspirators.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. Not that they were they started quite independently of each other.
Yeah, I just reached the same conclusion. Lucky me. Giles shows up at the house, all upset, and to this point, I don't think I've seen Buffy's mom and Giles cross paths because, a grown man bursts into the front door wanting to see your teenage daughter, and he seems quite worked up. You'd think, you think so? You think a mom might notice that?
Yeah. What is Buffy's mom up to right now? She goes out of town a lot for like art things that she then brings back to her house sometimes. I don't know. It's weird.
Oh, there's a great quote Buffy gives, and I have a feeling that this quote, I might have heard it before because it sounds like a thing. If the apocalypse comes, beat me.
It's one of the most popular lines, especially from season 1. So they get to the bar, club, underage club, all ages club, like question mark. I'm pretty sure.
I know you can get drunk underage and get a cheeseburger. Like this place sounds great.
Oh,
97.
they actually ID you because there was a novelization of Welcome to the Hellmouth and the Harvest that I have. It's in the room. And they give a bit more backstory about how Cordelia originally tells Buffy, like all that you have to do is show your ID and you get a stamp on your hand if you're underage. So that's how they tell the difference between those who are underage and overage.
I've literally been to places like that in the 90s, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Like it is a 90s thing, yeah. So I never noticed that there was a woman walking down the stairs with just a neon green feather boa. She's just in her prime.
I must have been making a note at that moment because I missed that completely.
Walking down right behind them, and I'm like, wow, that is a really bright boa.
I did, however, notice Cordelia enter the bronze like a fucking jungle cat. He's like, it's on.
I love her so much. And she always, like, I really, really like her hair with the slight crimping that she has in it. She pulls it off really well. She looks really good in the scene.
90s me would have been nuts for that. I've seen her in the bar and be like, oh boy, I'm about to go embarrass myself. Hold on.
She says the term when after she tries to pretend that Buffy isn't there and try to snag Owen while Buffy's literally standing right there. She looks over and sees Angel walk in. And she's like, salty goodness. 16-year-old saying salty goodness. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
Meanwhile, back at the funeral home, Giles is immediately surrounded and gives him the crucifix F you and runs inside. And for a brief moment there, I got really hopeful that we were going to see Giles do some sort of Home Alone level type shit. I was really hoping for paint cans on a rope or something. I don't know. Just buy a few minutes before Buffy showed up.
Oh, I need to see that more than I need to see Buffy come rescue the day now. I just want to see him like set this entire thing up and Harry and Marv them their way through. Oh, the Order of Aurelius. So what is your theory on how the cross works? Because the vampires seem to shrink in visible pain even when the cross is visualized to them. Like, does it bless the air around them? Like, if you made like a wind turbine of just crosses, would it bless the air and just like dust vampires? Because we can work with that.
I don't know. There's so many different theories. Like, I've always thought that's the conduit for the power of Christ and it flows through, but you gotta believe in it or it doesn't work. But a lot of vampire shows just think the image of the cross is so offensive, to the evil vampires they can't even bear to look upon it. So I don't know. It seems pretty effective in this version of vampires.
So does that mean that if you're an atheist and you die and become a vampire, the cross doesn't work on you?
I think the idea being that if the power of God is real, then it don't matter if you don't believe in it; it'll still destroy you or something.
So I've never noticed the look on Angel's face before when he was meeting Owen.
Was it jealous?
Well, because the first time that he met, he was just kind of like looking at him. But then when he comes over, he actually goes, like he's about to just be like, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? And while Buffy and Owen are talking, because Buffy's trying to ditch Owen to go to the funeral home because suddenly, Xander and Willow are together and they want to go on a double date. to the funeral
Xander
home.
and Willow are just running through the streets of the town at night.
How are they getting
Popping
to
up
all
at
these places
windows.
in a timely fashion?
They must have bikes or something like the Stranger Things kids.
Yeah.
Pedaling around like fucking crazy. You gotta go between bars and funeral homes all fucking night.
Yeah, Willow's really good at lying on the fly, is things that we learn from these
Yeah.
scenes. She's really quick.
Which is funny because she seems to really need to get out more.
Yeah.
But she's
But
so sharp.
you might like when Buffy and Owen are actually talking in the bronze, Angel's actually set in the middle in the background. So you're watching him the entire time, like he's totally between them. So you're basically like, yeah, well, this isn't gonna last because he's right there.
There he is, lurking.
So they go and they find Giles and they rescue him. They proceed in a later scene to open all of the doors to all of where all the bodies are being kept. And it looks like Giles chose one of two occupied containers and did not get into one of the empty ones.
I mean, on one hand, you could say he was so desperate he went with the first one, but there's a part of you like, did he choose to go in that one?
And then there's another one where they're like, parts. And then I'm like, are you not going to follow up and investigate why there's just a container of body parts in there?
All the same parts?
A question you will find
let's
yourself
stop right
asking
there.
again later.
What parts were they? It was just a pile of wieners. It was a hell of a thing.
I wish I were an Oscar Mayer. Nope.
So Owen has snuck along and he's drinking up the excitement. He's all in for this.
Yep.
It's getting really hard to get rid of him, in fact. And they go into the room. It's his observation room, and I'm like, uh-oh, Owen's about to see too much. Then this dude gets up and he starts attacking him. And I saw in the I didn't hear them say it in the episode, but the subtitle says this guy's name was Borba.
Borba. Yep.
Borba.
Borba. If they had actually said that at any point in the episode, which I think they did when they were announcing his name when he was holding up the paper, when Giles was holding up the paper or whatever. I think it's actually
Maybe
they talk about it, but Borba.
Yeah, it went past me. I didn't catch it till the subtitles anyway.
That's the best you can come up with.
Anyway, Borba knocks the shit out of Owen, and for a second there, we're led to believe that he's dead. And Buffy starts really attacking this guy, and he's alive. He comes to quite quickly, but Xander is like, "Hang on, let her use this." And I thought that was pretty good thinking on his part. He's like, "No, let her use this. Let her think that just for a second."
Yep. It'll be fine in a moment. Just let her finish what she needs to do. And then he just dive bombs himself into the crematorium chamber thing.
As soon as they showed the table on wheels in front of it, I was like, Borba's going in the fucking fire.
I do enjoy that they are varying how they kill the vampires. Like, you haven't really seen a lot of, like, you've seen them staked, but you've also seen them, like, there's a staking and then it's immediately someone's in the oven. It's a stake and then, ooh, you thought it was Dawn and now your head's chopped off. Like, it's all those different things. Like, they're actually trying to vary it up so it doesn't get redundant.
Gonna have to keep a running total about which one my favorite is. Well, obviously so far is Borba diving headfirst into his own crematorium. So Borba is the current reigning champion of interesting vampire deaths.
I like this, so we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, so Owen wants to keep going out at night and getting into trouble. So I think he suffered a head injury and now he's addicted to danger or adrenaline or something. So.
Well, he's such an introvert and he didn't realize the rise he got out of the adrenaline. And now he's like, no, man. Like, he's like, I'm always inside and I'm always like, I never experience anything. And now I get to experience life. And she's like, not for long if you stick with me. So you're out.
Owen's like, let's go kill a hobo or something. Come on. I was like, rein it in, man.
Yeah, right. And then she does the responsible thing and she lets him down and just sends him on his way. And then that's it for Owen.
Will we ever see OMG Owen again? There was a lot. There was a lot of other Owen terms in this. At one point there was, hang on here.
I'm wondering if you're thinking of the same one that sticks out to me.
Owenosity and
Yeah.
Owens. They use it was yeah, it was shoehorned into several words there.
I do enjoy it. Like I said, this episode is the start of the journey of where you understand why I love puns so much. And we get a quick background into Giles's life that he was raised to be a watcher.
Yeah, interesting. Whole line.
He did not choose this life. It was chosen for him because he was going to be a fighter pilot or a grocer. I was like, yes, they're the same. How many times do you think Owen, or some variation thereof, was said in this episode?
I'm gonna say 47.
Low.
Really?
No, like lower, because I'm trying to find out what the
lower.
runtime is.
Oh, okay. 28.
Exactly.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, that's still a lot.
It was said pretty much every like minute and a half.
That's a lot of Owen.
That's a lot of. It was too much.
That's going Owen board.
Yeah.
Hang on. I might be drawing a blank because of all the drugs, but I have it in the star here about the surprise ending. I can't remember what the surprise ending was.
The anointed one.
Right, yeah. Yes, that's it, the kid. Yeah, turns out the anointed one was the chatty little guy who fucking got freaked out by a weirdo on the Greyhound.
Yeah, they just thought it was the religious fanatic because anointed one. They would obviously go with that, but they would never think to actually investigate any of the other four.
He was just a fucking drunk guy on the bus.
Yeah. He was
Oh, it's Borba. He's got a cord into him again.
Oh my goodness.
He's going to end up in a fire if he's not careful. My synopsis for this is a short one. It is a group of evasive weirdos nearly gets Owen killed.
Owen hangs out with the trouble children for a night. And almost ends up on the menu.
He gets hooked on danger. And find out later he got on drugs and fell in with a bad crowd. Wait, aren't they the bad crowd?
Yeah. Things you learn. It's probably safer to date Cordelia.
Honest to God.
Would you disown me if I kept making puns?
All right, that's it. Good night, everybody. That's all for this week. Rain and I will see you next week with more episodes. Until then, this is Vinzer Flinn signing off.